Make some noise for your host, Kid Copious.
What up, perps? Kid Copious, back in the bunker. Purple State Party, you know what we stand for. America, the center, common sense. Things that go like that, and sippy cups. Yeah, that's a great way to start a show, isn't it? Yeah! I had to prevent the cough there. And I failed. So anyhow, today's episode, this morning's episode, I don't know when you're watching this, is just Brandon doing Brandon things. I'm having a lot of fun with Brandon, and hearing that the Democrats are now supposedly saying, thank you, Brandon, really shows you how cool Let's Go Brandon is. So, let's go Brandon, Armstrong, and Getty. Keep it strong. So anyhow, we're going to kick this week off with a few just rapid fire things. I don't need to explain the title, do I? I mean, come on, you know what we're talking about. You know what's coming up. Maybe you don't. I don't know. Maybe you haven't been paying attention or you watched the wrong news. I don't know. You're watching me, so you're doing the right thing there. So anyhow, PragerU kicks us off. The further a society drifts from truth, the more it will hate those who speak it. And that's really what the big problem we have here is. Since the news agencies have flipped to propaganda, counter-propaganda, instead of being journalists, we get fed a lot of bullshit. And as we see, some of this bullshit has real-world consequences. I'm going after the Democrats right now because they are out of control. But we all, moderates on both sides, need to come together and we need to form a cohesive party here. Because this isn't a game. This isn't Monopoly. This isn't the Rams versus the Saints. This isn't Wales versus the Faroe Islands. This is real life with real consequences for us, our parents, our children, people we don't even know. But we see them. I see them every day, struggling just to get by. And right now, we're not doing right by anybody in this country. Anybody. And a lot of the blame goes on the left, but it's not like the right is blameless either. And, this is too important to fail. So, as we can see here, most Americans are not happy with what's going on. Only 1 in 4 say that the Build Back Better plan will work for them, will help them. And the media wants to paint it out like we saw last week, I believe. There was a report 71% of people support it. No, they don't. They support the bill that seemingly getting passed or got passed. I don't know. It's cuckoo up there. People support that. But right now, we saw in Virginia a turning of the tide on the Democrats. They're losing power quickly. People are fed up with it, and they're starting to see through it. We'll get into that a little more later. Unfortunately, one of my favorite actors, Dean Stockwell, passed away. I loved him in Quantum Leap. That was one of my favorite shows, but we got a lot to unpack, so let's go. So, Mass, California, their COVID rate is twice that of Florida's. And how good is Florida's doing? Well, right there, the Doctors Hospital, they were the first hospital in the state to treat a COVID patient last year. Doctors Hospital announced that for the first time since the pandemic, it has no virus patients in its care. Okay, so we're not really going to get off on a rant or rave here on this because I think by now everybody's got their camp. It's hard to convince people to leave their camp, but I've been saying it for a long time. There's nothing we can do to stop this. We just need to run at it. And it seems like, some of that bears out because California, I bring it up a little bit later how tight it is here. And it doesn't, I don't know, doesn't seem to slow down, So we were talking about that infrastructure bill. And on the face, it sounded really good. But then you find that politicians did what politicians do. And they stick some sort of high-handed, overreaching type law in there, They got to taint the good with the bad. And I don't know that preventing drunk driving is a bad thing. It's how they're going to go about it. I have been sober since 92, so 30 years? And I don't want to have to blow into my car to get it started. That feels like a bit of an intrusion, a bit of blaming the innocent party, and it kind of disgusts me, I didn't keep myself off of booze this long to have to blow start my car, I don't know if it's... I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But once again, they stick some... It's like sticking a rotten cherry on top of a nice ice cream sundae. So this person here says that the real border crisis is how the United States is treating the migrants or the aliens or whatever we're supposed to call them. Migrants? I don't know. They're not supposed to be here. And people are more worried about how they're being treated. Well, if we're not asking them to come, we're not going down there and rounding up busloads of them and bringing them up to the border and then sticking them in cages. That's not the way it works. I understand we have to show as much compassion as possible, but at the same time, we didn't cause, the country as a whole did not cause this problem. Certain people with certain ideals caused this problem, but they, like I said, in theory, we're not going down there picking them up by the busload. There's rumors, there's conspiracy theories, blah, 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 but I don't know. I don't personally buy any of it, so I just think they're coming. I don't think anybody's busting them in. I think they just hear the sweetheart deal and come a-running. It's like a blue light special at Kmart, if anybody out there knows what that means. So, Psaki says, who cares what Psaki says? So I love this one, Just look at that for a second. Wouldn't it just be easier for him to sign an executive order undoing all of the things that cause the problems? I don't know. You won't let them be independent contractors. You set all kinds of rules. Yes, some of them designed for safety, but of course, safety always has a giant margin in it. And we know what the problems are here. You've totally made it shit to be a truck driver in California. So the ones that stayed are still here. Great. But it's not like we could just entice people to come here anymore because the rat's out of the bag. It's expensive. We got all these rules and regulations. You don't know what's going to happen. So if you don't know if you're going to be allowed to be an independent contractor, and that's one of the ones that I really don't understand. I mean, if you own your own company, I would think you're okay, but I don't know. That's kind of the same thing I always thought about with the Uber. It's like they own the car. They're sort of a business. I mean, if you want to make them register as a business, I get it, but we have to have independent contractors. There's some industries that's how it works better. That's the incentive. Comedians and musicians, apparently there was some sort of exemption on that because, again, they pass laws and they don't really think about how that's going to affect people, how it's going to be interpreted, and how it's going to be implemented. So, they messed up the ports, okay? We can make up excuses all day long, but the truth of the matter is it's happening. I, for one, work with a lot of logistics companies. And I see the backlog. I work with a company that exports things. And I've never seen their warehouse packed. And why is it packed? Because they can't get empties to fill up and get them on ships bound the other way. They just can't. This is going to be, if this happens, I would say it's one of the most insulting things ever. Again, if people come here illegally, they should not win a prize. That's bullshit. Okay? You know, I knew my grandparents who immigrated here. So, I'm all for immigration. Illegal immigration is not immigration. So, the lies. You know, we're not allowed to question the election of 2020 with its mass paper ballots and all kinds of weird shit going on and weird happenings and things that we really didn't expect. Whatever. Who cares? Who gives a shit? It's over and done with, right? But anyhow, we find out now that people are being arrested in connection with the Steele dossier. The whole idea that the Democrats colluded with Russia or colluded to make it look like Trump had colluded. And you wonder why we question the election. We've seen the lengths you'll go to. Okay, you know, this flat out says it all. Does anybody still believe? Yeah, the people who don't get any sort of middle of the road journalism, the people who only get CNN, this kind of shit gets glossed over, excused, explained away. You know, some guy with a whole bunch of initials after his name will get up there and he'll say blah, 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 blah. And people will say, oh, look, it was all excused away. Oh, Hillary didn't have anything to do with it. Except, you know, people close to her did? Huh. Wow. Okay. You know, fed a false tale the whole time. And when is this stuff going to sink in with people? You know, that if they're willing to go to these lengths, how can you trust them? And here's the prime example. The Rittenhouse case. You know, I don't need to recap it. I think most people know what's going on. But they crash and burn. But America's not going to see it. Because unless you read this article or exposed to this article, you're not going to know. You're going to assume, hey, they let the racist kid with no ties to Kenosha go in and shoot up a bunch of people, and they're going to let him off, you know, from murder because he's white. No, it was self-defense. Their own witness, the state's own witness right here, I'm not even going to gauge, admitted that Rittenhouse was justified to defend himself against Anthony Huber, jump kick man, and himself. But the people involved admitted it was self-defense. Why is this even a trial? This is going to end poorly. It's over. Kyle Rittenhouse did not fire until a gun was pointed at him. The prosecution literally face-palmed. Because it's that bad. This is what I started by saying, you know. You know, unconnected. Yeah, he had connections. Something like his dad owned a store there or something. I forgot what the connection was. Oh, man, I should write this stuff down. You know, but none of this stuff was proven by the prosecution. It wasn't true. You know, sometimes, and we're going to start seeing a lot more of it, because if things continue on this path, people are going to have to take matters in their own hands. More and more, they're going to have to, because we're being left holding the bag by the police and the city council and the mayor, the DA. I mean, if, you know, what are you supposed to do? They're just letting methed out crazy people run the streets. You know, how are you supposed to compete with that? What are you supposed to do if the police aren't going to come? I mean, but they lie about this kind of stuff all the time. And it leads to this, you know, whole misinforming a majority of America. And what's going to happen when the law finds him not guilty or innocent? You know, he acted in self-defense, and now they're going to cause riots because people are going to be ill-informed. State regrets hiring Lionel Hutz to prosecute. Simpsons reference. If CBS News called him a murderer before the trial was even over. That's just propaganda. That's what that is. That's lying, and that's not the way things are supposed to be done. That's not covered in Journalism 101. Even LeBron had to shoot his mouth off, talking about Lemonheads or something. That boy was false crying, says man who bursts into tears whenever somebody lightly brushes his elbow. Yeah, he's a fucking crybaby. He should shut up. Him and Kaepernick, man. You know, they don't use their platform for good. They use their platform for division. That's why I don't like them. They're not promoting the truth. I mean, most people have seen the video. He was under attack. He fought back. Hey, that rhymed. Didn't even mean to. You know, here's another one that they like to perpetuate, you know. That menace is the political tool of the Republicans. Except Trump or supporters, seniors, and young people were attacked for wearing MAGA gear. Nobody wears Biden gear, so that hasn't happened yet. So it's an unfair comparison, I guess. But they harassed patrons at restaurants. They harassed cinema on a plane. They bought a ticket and harassed her the entire flight. They harassed her in the bathroom. They harassed Manchin when he's out on his boat. So who's the menace? I mean, who's the menace here? Really? Seriously, like right here. Just perpetuating it. Yeah, the twisted GOP. Right. They didn't concoct the Russian collusion story. They didn't call for defunding the police. They didn't go out and burn down cities in the name of George Floyd. Come on. Come on. Who's twisted and who's using menace? Come on. You know? Oh, yeah. Hawk Newsom. Her real name, Hawk Newsom. Unlike our governor, Cock Newsom. But this BLM activist basically, you know, was calling for riots and bloodshed if New York City reinstated its plainclothes policemen. So you have plainclothes policemen wandering around looking for street crime, you know? Because if you're in a uniform, people can spot them, so they're in plainclothes. And it cuts down on those petty little street crimes that make life for everybody, tourists, things like that, bad, miserable, whatever. Okay? So the BLM activist said, riots and bloodshed, if you put cops out there. Who's the menace? Who's the menace? Okay? Dennis the menace. Who's the menace here? The governor of Wisconsin? Oh, I suck at this sometimes. So he's going to put 500 National Guardsmen out on the streets for the Rittenhouse verdict. Because he already knows it's going to go poorly because it was self-defense, so he's going to get let off. And they're going to riot. They're going to riot. They're going to riot in the name of what? That kid was under attack. It's on video. He shot a guy who was pointing a pistol at him. I mean, another guy was waving a skateboard like a club, running at his gun. I mean, there's even like the evidence that showed that one of the guys was holding the barrel of the gun when it was fired. So, you know, it's all GSR, gunshot residue, all that kind of stuff. So they already know what's going to happen. And is it going to be a bunch of Republicans going there to riot? No. It's going to be the far left. That's what it's going to be. And they're going to be funded and propped up by the politicians, the Democrats. The media is going to chime in. They'll gloss over it with the peaceful protests. They'll downplay any deaths. Total, where's all the numbers? How come news agencies aren't bombarding us with the cost of last summer? And here's another great one. It's just another brilliant one. So some teens, believe in Ohio, driven by racial hatred, I suppose. I don't know. Maybe they said it. I don't know. But anyhow, They did that, what is it, swatting or whatever, on one of the BLM heads. Where's his name in there? I can't pronounce that. Abadulia. All right, whatever. So the police show up because there's been some kind of call, and she says she doesn't even believe the call was made. The police were just using it. That's who you're dealing with. Like, that's her response. The police are lying. Okay. So, title says, Brandon doing Brandon things. Biden called Satchel Paige the Great Blank. He apologized, but I'm not even going to read these out loud. But Obama signed a bill in 2016 that banned the federal government from using the word. And he goes out and he uses it. Look, that's why I was surprised he was even the candidate on that side. Because he's an old school racist Democrat, out of touch, and obviously not capable of the job. So then, that leads us right into liberal corner here. You see this. Joe Manchin raked in $400,000 from oil and gas contributors that were traditionally Republican donors. Yeah, well, you know what? Oil and gas probably give money to both sides, to be honest with you. Now he's opposing clean energy. It's not called conscience. It's called oligarchy. Oh, we're going to throw the oligarchy in there now. Because that's a word. And how that was the word that they were throwing around a lot when they were trying to prove Trump was colluding, which he wasn't. But it came out a lot more under Hunter Biden. But anyhow, no, it's not clean energy. It's clean energy plus this, plus that, plus this, plus this, plus this, plus this. Bankrupting future generations that are now locked into social programs that only help a small portion of the population. Something that could be handled by the states where the states seem necessary. But now, for some reason, this popped up on my feed today. It was posted today by them, but Donald Trump lost, America won. I'm thinking possibly, I didn't really look into it. Maybe this was brought up satirically. I don't know. Maybe. I'm not 100% sure. I thought it was under the Lincoln Project. Yeah, I think it was the Lincoln Project. Maybe they put it up sarcastically, realizing what a fucking buffoon they had been. Because if we won, dude, I don't even think of... yeah, we can't see the finish line. Cory Bush, white supremacy, is the single greatest threat to our democracy, and fear-mongering about critical race theory is an extension of that. It's disgusting that blaming black people for your problems is still a reliable pathway to victory. Oh, okay, like your side who blames white people for everything. Yeah. Oof. It's a hot take there. But that's not what critical race theory is. It's blaming black people. I blame Barack Obama for putting me in a bind with the credit cards when he allowed them to raise their minimum payment. But other than that, I don't blame black people for anything. Whew. Yeah, here's a great one. They actually believe that China's going to comply with this. Yeah, you really think they're going to comply? Yeah, I'm guessing not going to be a lot of complying. Jimmy Kimmel. Yeah, it's kind of funny, but whatever. It is gleefully putting out, that a police officer dies of COVID while on leave for failing to meet vaccine requirement. Yeah, see? Because that's news that's fit to print. So, if I understand the Republican argument on Rittenhouse here, you're cool teenagers from Compton armed with assault rifles driving to a MAGA rally in Orange County and opening fire if they feel a little scared. Okay, let's break that down. First of all, it was the teenager, correct. Not from Compton, but I got it. Assault rifle, no such thing as assault rifle unless it's fully automatic. But we'll give that to them. Driving to a MAGA rally is not like driving to a riot. Okay? So, there you go. Okay? And again, the people from Compton, why are they there at a MAGA rally in Orange County? Rittenhouse went because he knew the city And he didn't want to see it burn down. And he didn't want to see people who he knew lose their livelihoods over this. So he went. Maybe he was stupid. I don't know. That's, you know what? Some people are called to action, man. I don't know. I might have done the same thing. LA, ramping it up. Look at that. We have to show proof now to go into a museum, a bowling alley. Look at all that. Look at that. That is awesome. Like the leading cause of death from COVID is gyms and fitness studios, and you're not going to allow people to go to work out? Fast food establishments? I hope that doesn't apply to in your car. Whoa. What is all this? This is... there we go. We're back on track. Sports media more angry at Rodgers than Ruggs. Yeah? See, that kind of is how it works. They get a story in their head that gets them a lot of clicks and they go with it. Who cares? The Rodgers thing, big deal. Ruggs literally killed somebody by doing something extremely stupid. I mean, that kind of needs to be hammered home. And why they lost in Virginia? Yeah, right there. Just inflation and CRT. Even that you don't need to teach CRT. If you're thinking about it, you're on the wrong track. Pete Buttigieg. Yeah, his infrastructure bill. Yeah, swift action to fix racist highways. This dude, man, I was rooting for this dude, believe it or not, in the primaries. I thought maybe somebody young might have some good ideas. But instead, this guy is on maternity leave during a crisis, comes back and says that the Build Back Better plan with its child care would help the trucking. Like, that's the problem with the truckers. Child care, But, I mean, you got to fix the racist highways first. Wow. This dude is just, he's magic, man. But the problem is, he can do some of this stuff. So he can waste money on dumbass stuff. Yeah. By the way, our embassy was taken over in Yemen. Just thought people might want to know that, But they were taken off the official list, the terrorist, a month. Within a month of taking office, Biden removed the how do you say that, from the terrorist watch list. This dude's just like, Biden is not fit, man. And I don't think progressives are fit to lead. I think progressives worry about all the wrong things, man. According to Democrats, white supremacists are vastly becoming the most diverse group in America. Yeah, we are, man. We really are. White supremacists. If you say it enough times, it's going to lose all effect. And I hope you realize that day is in a lot of ways already here because, come on. That shit that happened in Virginia, when people are out there labeling it as white supremacy, like, do you really think moderates buy that? You really think they buy articles like, why racist Republicans vote for black candidates? Really? Okay. Maybe because they're qualified? Maybe because they're not pushing dingbat theories? Why are my poll numbers slumping? You're too moderate. Yeah, that's what it is. You're too moderate. Yeah. See, that sums it right up. That sums up the problem we have. Moderates, looking at like a bad word. This was an old one that he brought back. It used to be a dead horse. Because again, they're just, that's it. That's all they got. Republicans. I mean, think about it. Like, if somebody who wasn't white wanted to be a Republican, they would be practically shunned in some communities. I mean, look at the kind of shit Winsome Sears, Larry Elder, many others have faced. I mean, Dave Chappelle just went through it. Come on, man. Like, y'all step, on that side, y'all step out of line, man. You get put down real quick. You don't got a second chance, man. And I think this one sums it up. Right there. We all know this happened a couple weeks ago, but this one popped up. And, or last week, I guess it happened, not a couple. But that's what's going on. They're appealing to a certain group of people, and they're ramping it to Jerry Springer-like levels. The problem with that is this is real life. This isn't just two people's lives from New York that you can exploit on TV and the rest of the country will be fine. This kind of shit gets cities burned down. People lose their lives over this. We lose freedoms and things like that over this. Because people are being fed lies and not realizing they made a mistake until it's too late. And we see that with the poll numbers. Right now, here in California, the guy who gets the blame for the Venice Boardwalk being covered by homeless, Bonner, they got something like 39,000 votes to recall him. When he won the election, he had 34,000 votes. So the tides are turning. But we can't let up. We can't let up because they've got a plan that just frankly won't work. Okay? If you want to talk about clean energy, start talking about nuke. Sun and wind is a beautiful thing. Works really great in certain circumstances, remote locations maybe, where you can't get the power grid out there. It's feasible. For house by house, somewhat sort of works. Like, hey, I get that. But on a grand scheme of things, it's not reliable enough. And they want everything. The metaverse, the electric vehicle verse. All of these things running off of electricity. And in North Dakota, they burn coal to make electricity. So, how is that going to help the environment? That's the way they think. They judge everything on the intent, not the result or the expected result. That's what they're doing out there. It all sounds good until it fails and you see the bill. Copious out.